Hi friends, welcome to Achieve Intentional Transformation podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Leonie H. Mattison. It is always a beautiful and wonderful thing to be on top of the earth. So welcome into this brand new day. This is such a weighty season for many people. For some of you, this year has held grief, layoffs, unexpected endings, and quiet heartbreaks nobody really knows about. Here's the truth, my friends. We can't ignore what that does to our bodies, our spirits, and our sense of worth when life keeps handing us hard no's. Before we go anywhere today, I really wanted to take some time to let you know I see you. I care about you. And I am on this path and I am in this conversation not as someone above it, but as someone walking through it with you. Over the past season, I've been working on releasing some deep patterns that rejection left in my life. From the self-blame, the shrinking, the endless replaying of certain moments in my mind. And I will say, in the spirit of transparency, the word rejection has been loud for me. Rejection. It has been loud in my story. It has been loud in my body and very loud in my conversations with leaders, mothers, students, and all of you quiet heroes who listen to this podcast. I hear you. I've heard you. I'm hearing you. I'm listening. I recently posted a video on my YouTube channel, so I encourage you to check out Achieve Intentional Transformation with Dr. Lee. And I've also posted it on Instagram about how we can begin to see rejection differently. If you haven't seen it, the link is in the show notes. Today, I just felt this calling to sit with you just a little bit longer, and I'm hoping to go deeper in our conversation today. And so the episode today, I'm going to really dive into on the other side of rejection, like how we can shift our mindsets. That's my goal, is to help you to explore shifting your mindset when it comes to that word rejection. I'm also going to share 5 very simple and very human practices that are helping me walk through rejection in a new way. And the 5 practices are humming, stillness, coloring, crying, and self-inquiry. I know some of you heard that list and you may be thinking, no, wait a minute, Dr. Lee. That's okay. Stay with me, please. These are not childish. They are actually powerful ways for us as leaders to let our souls breathe when life has tried to hold our worth hostage. So I invite you to take a breath with me, a deep breath with me today. I think it's important to share with you that I use the triangle breathing exercise quite a bit. And I do 4, count 1 to 4, inhale, hold it for 4, and release it sometimes for even 8. Because, that the things that we're navigating really needs a long exhale. So I'd like to invite you at this moment, if it's safe for you to do so, just breathe in with me. So let's breathe in and hold it for 4. So you're going to breathe in and count 1 to 4. Hold it for 4. And then you can let it out before whatever feels right for you. So let's go. Let's try again. Breathe in 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, release it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's try that again. Let's talk about rejection, protection, and, as I said, the practices that are quietly saving my life and my mental health. That's something I have, the space I've been working in for many years, and really have been an advocate for mental health support, for everyone, but especially for the space that I'm in leadership. It isn't a topic that we all feel very comfortable talking about. And when I talk about leadership, I'm not talking necessarily about a title. You could be an emerging leader, a senior leader, an aspiring leader, leadership at home, school, or in the workplace. So my first question that emerged for me as I was preparing this is, I want to ask you this question. Have you noticed that the very first sentence that usually rises in you when someone or something doesn't choose you back? Maybe for you, the relationship end, or the organization or the board moved or is moving on and in a different direction. Maybe for you, the partnership dissolved, or is dissolving. Maybe for you, the email or the text never comes. Almost before you breathe, many of us can agree, the words appear in our minds, go something like this. He or she rejected me, or they didn't want me, or I wasn't chosen. I wasn't the one they chose, right? And in that moment, without meaning to, we hand all the power to the other person. We hand it over to the institution, to the client, to the partner, to the room, to the child. I mean, whatever the situation is, we tend to give away our power in those moments. And in addition to that, we make them judge, right? And then we put ourselves in a judgment seat, and before long, we find ourselves as the one who is not enough. And our system begins to write its own quiet verdict. And it goes something like, I am not enough. Something is wrong with me. Or we may say, if I were better, they would have stayed, or they would have selected me, or they would have stood by me. It doesn't just stay in your thoughts, my friends. It lives in your body. In the tight jaw before a hard meeting, the shallow breath when you're right in the middle of opening your inbox, the way your shoulders fold as if you are apologizing for taking up space in your own life. I know for me, I reached a season where I was finally living what I prayed for, believed for, and worked for. And then things started shaking beneath my feet. I had losses after losses after losses. And the word rejected came running back. And I remember I called it the gremlin. The gremlin showed up and said, maybe you were never enough in the first place. But here's the truth, my friends. I am learning, and I want to offer it to you in a very gentle way. Rejection is not only what happened, it is also the story we tell about what the deepest part of us could no longer endure. So on the surface, it looks like, yes, they closed the door. However, underneath, I have learned that something wiser in you and in me may already know. If you stay here, if you keep bending like this, if you keep shrinking to be tolerated, something essential in you will be lost. So yes, the breakup comes. The role goes to someone else. The business deal crashed. The alliance falls apart. But what if instead of saying I was rejected, we could begin to say, my life rejected what could not hold my truth, or my destiny refused a system that would have fed on my soul, or my future would not allow me to bind myself, to bind my mission, to bind my vision to a story that was too small. And sometimes this happens right when you have just started living what you prayed for and believed for. You finally step into what you thought was the answer, and it's unraveling right in front of your face. But my friends, I want you to hear my heart tonight. Your soul knows you, and your soul loves you too much to let you stake your destiny on a place where your spirit cannot live. Oh, let me say that again, because I had to write this one 3 times today. Your soul knows you, and your soul loves you too much to let you stake your destiny on a place where your spirit cannot live. And sometimes your life will close a door. Sometimes God will close a door you were still trying to walk through, simply because that room cannot hold who you truly are. It was not destined to expand the magnitude and the fullness of your authentic self. Now, I know what you're saying, Dr. Lee, but it's still painful. Yes, I get it. What I'm sharing with you today does not erase the sting of the experience, but it does begin to move you out of shame. That's my goal, so you can move into a different kind of question. Not why wasn't I enough for them, but why was I willing to make myself so small for a place that could never really see me? That's the ground we're standing on today. Before I share the practices with you, I want to pull in something from my own research and my own story. Many of you know I've spent many years studying textiles, tapestry weaving, quilting, and the power of threads, and how individual strands become a pattern, how a pattern becomes a fabric, and how a fabric can hold the weight of a whole community story. I talk about that in my books. Here is something I've discovered that completely changed the way I see rejection. I want you to picture this image of a tapestry. On the loom, not every thread belongs in every place. And when a weaver is working, there are threads that are chosen and drawn through, and then there are threads that are stopped, they're cut or pulled back. Now, from the outside, that can look like a mistake or a rejection. But to the weaver, it is a protection of the pattern. If the wrong thread stays in the wrong place, what I've learned is that the whole design can warp. And then the cloth can weaken. So what looks like rejection on one thread is actually the weaver's commitment to the integrity of the whole. And did you know that in some ancient African weaving traditions, color, the pattern, and the placement carry deep meaning? Meanings such as how they honor kings, how they mark grief, celebrate rites of passage. Yes. Because the cloth itself becomes a living archive of the community's soul. It carries memories and many times trauma. And so what I've discovered is that the weaver isn't just making something pretty. They're protecting memory, identity, and destiny with every choice of thread. When I look at rejection through that lens, something inside me relaxes. Maybe that no, I took so personally was not a verdict on my worth, but maybe it truly was a necessary correction in the pattern of my life. And sometimes that is so difficult to accept. It's difficult to accept that maybe the door that closed was the loom refusing to force me into a design that could never hold who I really am. If you could see the back of a tapestry, I want you to picture that. I guarantee you'd see knots, loose ends, and places where colors change abruptly, and it looks messy. Sometimes it even looks like it's wrong. But when you turn it over, you flip that quilt over, oh, the front tells a different story. You see the lines, the shapes, images, and the beauty in the tapestry. Rejection often feels like we're starting at the back of the tapestry. This back where all the knots and the cuts and the threads, it just seems like they're going nowhere. That's what rejection sometimes feels like. Friends, what if on the other side of this moment, this difficult season that you're navigating, whether personally, professionally, or organizationally, what if on the other side of this moment is a larger, more magnificent pattern that's being woven? What if your life is not simply rejecting you? What if that person isn't really rejecting you? What if that medicine isn't really rejecting you, but rejecting what cannot carry your design, your true design, the beauty of who you are, the bold, radiant you? Oh, from that place, this weaving textile tapestry view of our lives, the question is no longer, why am I not enough? It becomes, what pattern is life, my life, protecting? What strength in me is this no trying to preserve? That's the posture I want to invite you into as we move into these 5 practices. Not trying to earn your way back into rooms that cut you off or relationships that deny the vastness of your presence, but learning how to honor the pattern your soul is trying to weave. That's my goal for you today. And from that place, I'd like to share these 5 practices that are helping me to live this story in my body and in my day. So the first practice is so simple that you might be tempted to skip past it, and that's humming. When we've been rejected, our bodies often stay in a low state of alarm. But when we pause long enough to look back, like for example, when the meeting is over or the relationship is over or the email is closed, the text message is gone, our nervous system is still bracing for impact. And so what I've found is that humming is one way I gently tell my body, you're here, you are safe enough in this moment, you're still alive. Sometimes I hum Jamaican songs. All right, under my breath, I'll hum them. Sometimes it's just a simple note. Sometimes it's a melody I make up while I'm washing the dishes or while I'm out walking and connecting with my tree friends. And as I said earlier, check out my YouTube channel. I have a video that I posted, a very short 2-minute video about this. I was just humming by the river, and I was just humming as a way to soothe and reset. And the link is in the show notes if you want to check it out, if you're so led to do so. So I invite you and encourage you to try it today. Take a deep breath through your nose. And on the exhale, close your lips softly and just let out a gentle And as you're doing that, just feel the vibration in your chest, in your throat, your face, right? And try doing that for a few minutes. This is not about rushing. It is not about performance. It is not about perfection. And I encourage, as you hum, you consider quietly saying to yourself, I'm still here. I am loved. I am not defined by who walked away. You're still here. You are loved. You are not defined by who walked away. Humming won't fix everything, my friends, but it can interrupt the spiral. It can give your body a small, steady reminder that your story is not over. Across many African communities, humming, chanting, and call and responses songs have led, I sat through so many sessions growing up in Jamaica. And these practices have long been used in work, worship, and healing, because these are fields full of workers. I remember humming spirituals. I remember my grandmother or elders singing over us as children. I remember communities using song to carry their pain and their hope. So I grew up on chanting, call and responses, and humming. But I forgot it. The older I got, I forgot. And so when you hum, you're not just calming your body, you're joining a line of ancestors who used sound to survive, to remember, and to rise. Just being by the river recently and just practicing, just humming. Oh, it did something for my soul. And I hope that you will consider trying. This is not about perfection, okay? It isn't about perfection. This is about helping, using sound to revive, to remind you, and to energize that rise in you. The second practice is coloring. Yes, adult, executive, world-changing you, yes, with crayons, markers, or colored pencils in your hand. Because when rejection hits, life can feel very gray. And for many of us, the future feels blurry, or joy just feels like it's just distance is far away. And what I found is that coloring has been a simple way for me to bring some color back, literally and symbolically. Sometimes I use pages from my own coloring book. You can find it on Amazon. There are 2 versions of it on Amazon. And sometimes it's a blank paper, just a paper, and I doodle. Sometimes I choose colors that feel like how I want my life to feel. I choose peaceful colors, whether they're greens or yellows, browns. I love bright colors sometimes, right? I choose colors that feel and represent the life I want to feel, the way I want my life to feel. And here's why this matters. I have found that coloring gives your mind a break from rehearsing the wound. And it also invites your hands, your eyes, your imagination into the entire journey, the healing process. It also reminds you that you can still create beauty, even on days when you feel discarded. And I'll tell you something else. I can't remember where I read this. They said even broken crayons still knows how to color. Even, don't quote me, I may be misquoting it, but I always picture this image of a broken crayon. It still has the ability, it's still usable, it can still be used to color. So I encourage you to try it. Pull out a page, blank page, any page. And as you color, ask yourself, if this season had a color, what would it be? And what color do I want to invite in next? I get excited when I'm coloring because it activates the little Leonie in me, the little girl in me that didn't worry about coloring in the lines, right? So you don't have to make anything perfect. You don't have to stain the lines. As I said, this is never about performance. It's always about presence. Let yourself notice that you're still capable of bringing something soft, something kind, and something beautiful into the world, even while your heart is still mending. Our African ancestors have long told stories through color and symbols, whether it was on cloth, in beadwork, in painted homes, or even on the body. Colors signal joy, mourning, royalty, resistance, belonging. Color was not always about just decoration. Color carries meaning, memory, and you can create a message out of the color that you choose. When you sit and color, you're stepping into that stream, and you're letting your hands, your eyes, your heart, your presence speak in color when your words feel tired. And it happens to all of us. The third practice is crying. I know. For some of you, that word alone is uncomfortable. You might be thinking, actually, I don't have time to cry. If I start, I won't stop. Or maybe you're saying strong people don't fall apart. But hear me out. My friend, crying is not weakness. Crying is a release. It's your body making space for new life by letting old pain move through instead of hardening inside. If you're not crying, then you need to have a conversation with your soul. And I'm not saying just cry just for anything, but it is normal to cleanse the body, to make space through release, right? There have been days when I sat in my car, or when I'm out in nature, or in my office, and I just let the tears come. Even doing this recording today, it is so deeply felt. No performance, no pretending I was okay. Just cry. Just to let out certain emotions that came up for me. And sometimes I say out loud, this hurt me. Sometimes I have to say, I gave a lot here. Other times I find myself says, Leonie, it's okay. It's okay to be sad about what I lost. But here's the thing. Then when the wave passes, I breathe. Sometimes I drink some water. Sometimes I step outside and I love to take my shoes off and walk bare feet if you know anything about me. And just feel my feet on the ground, just to connect with nature. Sometimes I pray. Sometimes I sing. Sometimes I dance, Sometimes I just hum and cry and hum and cry. Sometimes I color, I hum, and I cry. Yes. Give yourself permission to have a cry window. Maybe it's a few minutes, 5 minutes in the shower. Maybe it's a short walk where you don't have to talk to anyone. And tell yourself, for the next few minutes, you're allowed to feel this fully. My friends, you don't have to hold it all together. If tears come, let them. If while you're listening, you feel like crying, go ahead, release them. And if they don't, that's okay too. The point is not to force emotion. The point is to stop punishing yourself for having it. You're not fragile because you feel it. You're faithful to your own heart. In many African communities, tears are not hidden. Oh, I grew up where tears were honored. I grew up with a community and with grandparents and family members who wailed. I grew up witnessing and participating in communal crying at funerals and moments of loss. Those are some of the ways that the village of people says, we will not carry this pain alone. And so tears it's almost like a river, and that river, that's how I always picture tears. It carries, whether it's grief, it carries it toward healing. It flows out of you and it flows where it needs to go. And so when you allow yourself to cry, you're not failing. You're actually joining that river and letting your body do what countless ancestors did when their hearts were heavy. The next practice is stillness. Rejection often pushes us into overdrive, over-explaining, overworking, overperforming to prove we're still worthy. What I love about stillness is that stillness feels risky because it removes all the noise we use to outrun our pain. I found that stillness is where your soul can finally speak. And stillness can look as simple as sitting in a chair with your feet on the ground for a few minutes, or stepping outside to stand under the sky with your phone on silent. Or for you, maybe it's pausing before a big decision and saying something like, let me sit with this for a moment. In that stillness, I often just simply breathe and say, I am here. Leonie, you're here. You may need to say to yourself, I don't have to fix everything in this moment. I'm just listening to my soul. I just need to sit still and listen. Across many traditions, elders used to gather under the trees, the mango tree in Jamaica, or other shade trees, just to listen, to deliberate, to sit in silence before speaking. And those trees became living meeting rooms, places where wisdom was not rushed. We need to go back to stillness. It is such a superpower. And stillness is and should always be part of leadership. When you choose stillness, you are in a way sitting under the same tree, joining a long, long, long tradition of pausing to let wisdom, not panic, guide your steps. So let yourself sit under the tree of your own life. And even if it's just for a few minutes a day, no fixing, no justifying, just being. The fifth practice is self-inquiry, asking your soul better questions. And I love this because rejection tends to pull us toward very harsh questions. We ask ourselves, what's wrong with me? See, I'm a failure. I'm not good enough. On the other side of that, self-inquiry gently shifts that into curiosity. Curiosity of asking, what did I ignore in myself to stay here? Or what was my body trying to tell me all along? Or if I honored who I truly am, what would I no longer agree to? You don't have to interrogate yourself. Think of sitting down with your own soul as if in that moment, as if it were a wise friend, and asking, what do you see that I've been too tired to notice? I tend to ask my soul that a lot. What do you see? I want to know. I get curious with my soul, like, what do you see that I've been too tired to notice? And sometimes I'll ask my mentors, my coach, my trusted community the same question as well. Self-inquiry is a simple way of just, as I said, sitting still it's like sitting still in your soul. And in those moments, sometimes I do practice the stillness during the self-inquiry, but I always have a notebook with me. So take a notebook with you. And maybe you can try something like this, at the top of the page, write, if this rejection is really protection, what might it be protecting me from? And I will drop a worksheet that, at your leisure, if you so feel led, you can download the worksheet and work from it. And just let your pen move. No judgment, no editing as you're working through some self-inquiry questions. In West Africa, there's a powerful symbol called the Sankofa. And I get teary-eyed when I see this one because it's often shown as a bird looking back while holding an egg in its mouth. And it means go back and get it. Return to your past, gather its wisdom, and bring it forward. That's the second step in the thread system. That's where that came up for me when I was working on this thread system initiative. I looked at those symbols and those images. I had to go right back into my history and to understand what some of these symbols meant, what it really meant for my ancestors. And so self-inquiry is and could be your personal Sankofa moment, where you're going back to retrieve the truth, not the pain. No, you will pass the pain because you're going back may mean, you go through the shadow, so you will pass the pain. But what we want here is for you to go back to retrieve the truth, the lesson, the dignity that rejection tried to strip away, so you can carry it into your future. So you can work with it in the present, honor it in the present, appreciate it in the present, right? So it helps to propel you forward. You're not interrogating yourself to find more faults. That's not the purpose. The purpose here is to listen to yourself to retrieve more wisdom. As we close today, I want to speak directly to the part of you that still hurts. You are not the leftovers of someone else's choice. You are not a pile of almost and not quite. No. My friend, you are a whole human being, and you're deeply loved by God. You're carrying a purpose that no one can cancel. So the next time rejection shows up, whether it's in a text message or an email or a conversation or a goodbye, I invite you to do this. Hum, color if you can, or cry your way back into your own body. Sit still and really sit in stillness like an elder under a tree. Ask yourself kinder, truer questions. Rename the moment in your mind. And as you do, ask, what might this be protecting me from? And I want you to remember, you are not shaped by rejection. You are shaped by courage and the courage to keep honoring your soul in the presence of it. If this episode has sparked something in you, I encourage you to share it with someone who is standing in front of maybe a closed door and quietly they're wondering if they are the problem. And I would love to hear from you as well. So share your thoughts in the comments. Send me a message, leave me a reply wherever you're listening. I love hearing from you. And I do look forward to learning how your story is being rewritten from rejection to my life loves me too much to let me stay where my soul cannot live. That's the rewritten story from I was rejected. I want you to know your life loves you too much to let you stay where your soul cannot live. So my question is, what is one rejection in your life that on a second look might actually have been your soul protecting you or your destiny redirecting you? So thank you for spending time with me today. Until next time, keep breathing, keep humming, keep coloring, keep sitting in stillness, and keep asking braver questions as you allow, if they come up, the tears that need to fall, let them fall. You're not alone, my friend. You're not alone. You're never alone. So thank you for the gift of your time, your presence, and your contributions. Now, you take care. You take care now, my friends.